Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sara Jones. For this episode, I got to hang out with Indiana comic Kyle Buck. Indiana-based musician turned comic, podcaster, and producer, Kyle Buck is a man of the people. Finding new and different ways to get stand-up comedy to the people is a pastime of his. He co-hosts the Backstage Laugh podcast. He's also the founder, showrunner, and booker for Kettletop Comedy at Kettletop Brewhouse in Anderson, Indiana, where he's perfected the one-nighter comedy show and has local crowds coming back for more. Kyle and I got to visit the Detroit Masonic Temple in Detroit, Michigan. We were given the opportunity to explore the grounds of the Masonic Temple by some actual Freemasons. As always, be sure to check out the Instagram for pictures that go along with this episode. You can find us with the handle @LitDarkPodcast. Here's the episode. I hope you have fun.
Good work.
You killed it. Amazing.
We did it.
Put that in your pocket.
Cool.
Somewhere you won't lose it.
That's always why I wear titty pockets.
Yep. Make sure you put that in your titty pocket.
Yep.
I'm going to put
Mine is
on.
unlike the normal titty pocket. Some people actually put things in their titties.
Well.
Nope. I worked at a bank long enough. Nope. I Lysol that before I put it in my drawer. I have
That's
to.
probably a solid move.
Yeah. Mostly ones. It's weird.
All right. So we're at the Detroit Masonic Temple.
Yes, we are.
We are sitting in
A room that I can only describe as just incredible. It's First of all, we are sitting in the middle of Detroit and we can hear nothing.
Soundproof room.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very traditional.
Yeah.
This is very symbolic.
Yeah, we're sitting in the lodge, correct? Is that what this building is?
This one is an homage to the Temple of Diana at Ephesus.
Homage to the Temple of Diana at Ephesus. Wow. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, to describe to listeners, there are 3 seats directly at the back of the room with blue curtains right behind it. There are 5 columns, actually
4.
2 and 2 halves, which makes 3.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there's a whole, we were told earlier, there's a whole theme of 3 and 4. So
Yeah.
2 and 2 half columns, that's 3 columns in total. Carry the 1.
The theme of 3 and 4, trivium quadrivium.
Yeah.
Is a very, very powerful part of Masonic lore.
Yeah, and
mythology.
we'll do the deep dive. We'll
Absolutely.
dig into it. But so there's chairs at the back of this room, and the ceiling is ornately decorated. And
very much so.
painted and colorful.
Yeah,
but it's kind of it reminds me of a courtroom.
Yeah, kinda. There is for lack of a better term, what looks like a prayer stand
Or a ritual.
Or I don't want to say an altar because I don't know that there's
Sort of like an altar,
It is an
yeah.
altar? Okay.
It's surrounded by 3 candles on
surrounded
posts.
by 3 towered candles. Again, the number 3, the Trinity itself, the trivium.
And we'll post pictures on the Instagram as well that go along with this.
And there really are just so many unique pieces of art and design, and there are a lot of squares, but there are also circles. A lot of part of the geometric pattern of the universe are represented, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. I would describe it if you don't get a chance to look at the Instagram and can't see photographs of it. I would describe it similar to a very ornate older theater with the columns and the detail paid to all the carvings in the walls, all the carvings in the ceilings. When you go to an old theater, in Detroit, there's the Fox Theater is a great example, or any city really has their, in Indiana, where you're from?
Well, we have one that actually is called the Murat Theater, which is the Shriners run it. And it's kind of similar but with a more Egyptian connotation to the architecture and the symbolism. But yeah, it's definitely one of those old buildings that is still utilized and kept preserved.
Yeah, and you can also tell that love and attention is paid to detail,
Absolutely.
and every little thing is important, and that's just, I love that.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I've gotten. We've gone around to the old front of it, and we had an excellent tour on the symbolism of the front and the architecture of it, which is one of the most
breathtaking,
amazing parts of not just the craft of masonry, but the story of masonry as well.
Exactly right. Yeah. Are you ready to jump into the story of where we are?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
So
I'm invested. I'm committed.
I'm invested. This is such a cool place to be.
No,
in.
it seriously is. It seriously is. I feel like Nicolas Cage would be jealous of me.
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
National treasure.
National treasure.
I know,
dude.
This is such an honor to just be sitting here to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
So the Detroit Masonic Temple is a large Gothic stone building towering over Cass Park in Detroit.
Bedford limestone. I will add.
You're right, Bedford limestone.
Little Indiana connection there.
What's the Indiana connection?
Bedford, Indiana. It's,
I'm
done.
You're not supposed to say that word anymore.
No.
Sorry, my bad.
That's why I'm here. You booked me for a reason. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely because of the stone, the Bedford limestone. I was like, this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Bedford limestone, also what the Washington Monument is made of.
That's what you were saying earlier. Yeah. So, and then we were just seeing the portrait of George Washington.
Yeah,
so
which
he was
is
also
incredible.
a Mason.
We're also told that the original was once housed here. It's now in the Smithsonian, correct?
The original portrait of George
the original
Washington.
portrait of George Washington.
Awesome. Okay, so it's Bedford
limestone.
Mm-hmm. Great. It was designed by a famous architect named George Mason. He was also known for designing the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island and the Ransom Gillis House.
Very nice.
Someone out there is like, holy shit.
Oh, I know that. Now I'm going to look it up, and then I'll be that person.
Sure, exactly right. I'm just here to help facilitate learning.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Great. So
bring it to the front, drive it home.
Yeah, absolutely. The cornerstone of this building was placed on September 19th of 1922 using the exact same trowel. Is that a word?
I don't know. Trowel? Nice.
I'm getting a thumbs up from the
expert panel.
From the expert panel. So using the exact, I did that in my notes, and then I was like, that could be a typo on the website, but whatever. Using the exact same trowel, which is a real thing, that George Washington had used to set the cornerstone of the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. So
Very
funny
nice.
that you said that. The building opened on Thanksgiving Day of 1926. This temple has over 1,000 rooms and is filled with several secret staircases, concealed passages, and hidden compartments in the floor.
It wouldn't be right without it.
Of course not. Oh my God, how cool would it be to build? I mean, if I build just a house, if I'm ever rich enough to design a house, so many secret compartments.
It's like, but how would you go about that? Would you have the secret compartments in mind when you build it, or do you build it and then be like, okay, I can make this a secret compartment? I feel like you'd have to have them planned ahead of time in order to do it right.
Probably right.
Yeah.
I would probably want to look at how other buildings have done them in the past and get ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Detroit Masonic Temple is the largest Masonic temple in the world and has been since 1939, when the rivaling Chicago Masonic Temple was demolished.
Oh, man.
The Detroit Masonic Temple has over 1,000 rooms, hidden floor compartments, secret passageways, and even secret staircases. I put that in my notes twice.
There you go. Nice.
I was excited about it.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. The biggest in the world. That's incredible, man.
Yeah. The stage of the auditorium in the temple is the second largest in the United States. There are 2 ballrooms in this building, the Crystal Ballroom and the Fountain Ballroom, which accommodates up to 1,000 people.
That's wonderful.
There's an unfinished theater on the top floor of the tower that would have seated about 700 people. Mm-hmm. This makes me really curious. I'm not sure why it's unfinished.
Yeah.
I think that's something we'll get into later.
Yeah.
We're getting a nod from the expert panel.
All right.
It's the third largest. Somebody built a new one.
What's that?
Now it's the third largest. Somebody.
It's the third largest.
Gotcha.
Probably the time that article was written, it was the second, but somebody has since made bigger ones.
Oh, the auditorium in the temple? Okay, got it.
Interesting.
But the unfinished theater on the top floor.
Yep.
Do you know why it's unfinished?
Yeah, we can do that in the tour.
We'll do it. Okay, we'll get into it later. It's a long story. Okay.
Cool.
Because I was so curious about it. It's like, why would you just leave it unfinished?
Yeah. The essence is the short answer, is the depression.
Oh, okay. So money. That makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. And
what else stops the arts?
Well, true. Exactly. Well, seriously.
Yeah.
And then I've honestly seen that happen so much because obviously I'm on my Midwest tour. So most of my episodes, both in Detroit and Chicago, the depression plays a huge role.
Oh, sure.
This was happening. We had an upswing.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's basically how that goes.
Absolutely.
But so we'll get into the unfinished theater a little bit later. The Masonic Temple has been the location for the filming of several movies, including Batman vs. Superman. The inside of the Masonic Temple is decadent, boasting painted ceilings, marble bathrooms, and wooden phone booths inside adorned with hand-carved flourishes. This, I think, is an understatement.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've only seen a portion of this building so far.
The building is a continuous piece of art. It really is. There's no nook or cranny that's not been crafted.
And especially knowing that I was saying earlier before we started recording that every little piece that's been put in here, there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. There's a meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I like to do mixed media art. And I do the same thing. When I throw something into a piece, every little thing, there's a reason for it. If you ask me, that's why I put this in here and that's why I put that in there. And that's how this entire building was crafted. And I have such respect for that as an artist. Oh, absolutely.
And that's kind of the backbone of, Masonry from my understanding is that, it's about the dedication to the craftsmanship and the art and method behind the action. It's acting with logic and reason and not with, ego and self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just purpose and reason, and absolutely. I love it. All right, so legend has it that George Mason spent so much on funding the construction of the Masonic Temple that he was forced to go bankrupt, causing his wife to leave him. It's said that he was so traumatized and brokenhearted that he flung himself from the roof of the Masonic Temple. While this legend is filled with drama, it's also completely untrue. Why were you already suspicious? Did you already know about this?
No.
You had this look on your face sounds like bullshit.
It just doesn't seem like the way a Mason would carry themselves.
Right. It's very true. Exactly right. So George Mason, in fact, lived to be 92 and died in his bed in 1948. In April of 2013, the building was reportedly in foreclosure, owing Wayne County over $152,000 in back taxes. Nearly all of the debt was paid off by singer-songwriter and Detroit native Jack White of the White Stripes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. He said he had wanted to help the temple in its time of need because the temple had helped his mother in a time of need, offering her a job as an usher in the theater when she is struggling to find work and make ends meet.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah.
In response to his generous donation, the Detroit Masonic Temple Association renamed the Scottish Rite Cathedral the Jack White Theater.
Very nice.
So we were told getting drinks at Founders down the street.
Yeah.
Got to give a shout out.
Hell yeah.
We were over there. We were told that actually Jack White didn't even want to take credit for this.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep it really hush-hush. And the Detroit Masonic Temple Association was like, we're going to just name a whole fucking theater after you. Because thank you.
It's one of those things where it's like, whether you want it or not, you're going to get
awesome.
A little recognition.
So hello. Yeah.
For sure.
But I think that speaks so much more to how cool Jack White is. That he's like, here's a shitload of money. Don't mention it.
Yeah, for sure. And
literally.
Here's I'm going to do some weird speculative theorizing here. Jack White is 9 letters long, which is triple of the triple, the trivium times 3. Yeah.
Whoa, J-A-C-K-W-H-I-T-E.
Probably means nothing. That probably means absolutely nothing, but it is a thing.
No.
So, yeah.
3.
Exactly.
Seriously, 333.
Yeah.
It's not only 3, but it's 3 threes.
Yeah, it's 3 threes. Yeah.
How nuts.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that?
The Trinity counted.
What did you... Yeah. Good call.
Count it
But like, when did you
and
think it? Did you
divide
think
it.
of that at Founders when we were talking about it, or did you just think of that right now?
That was just now. Yeah.
And you just were like, J-A-C-K.
Yeah,
You were just...
Yeah.
You know what's weird? I am so ADD that even if I had that
If you look for the Trinity,
thought...
you find the Trinity.
True.
Now,
Fair
hold on.
enough.
If you look for the Trinity, you find the Trinity. I didn't mean to stumble over that last word there.
Oh, I didn't even
I got
hear
my
it.
tang tangled.
You got your tang.
Yeah.
But even if I were to have that thought, I would have to be like, wait, everybody shut up, I'm having a thought.
Yeah.
I would really have to focus on it to get to those numbers.
Yeah.
You just continued having
But here's the
conversation
thing I
with
have to
me.
be honest about is in the time that I was thinking about that, I completely stopped listening. So, if you don't mind repeating, no, I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
fair enough.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah.
No, that would have made way more sense if you were serious.
Yeah, no, that would be really rude if
My
I
mind
stopped
is
listening.
fucking blown. Nuts. All right, good for you.
I'm probably going to come up with some more nonsense theorizing.
I'm looking forward to it.
There
man.
we go.
All right, so the Freemasons were one of several social clubs in Detroit. Many famous people from Detroit were in fact Freemasons, including former United States Senator Lewis Cass, the first Chief Justice of the Michigan Territory of one of the founders, and one of the founders of the University of Michigan.
Ah, interesting.
You're from Indiana, so you're impartial, I'm sure.
But at the same time, like, we don't really have a thing against Michigan. It's just,
No,
it's
just
basically
Ohio.
just IU, Purdue. But then again, if you're looking at Notre Dame football, then you hate Michigan.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it depends on kind of where your head's at the time.
That's true. I feel like
Personally,
it's always Ohio State and U of M.
Yeah.
They have the issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In fact,
Pretty big rivalry.
I got a rental car for the time that I'm here, and the plates say Ohio, and part of me was like, did we offend them? Like, like what happened?
Sure.
All right, so Senator Lewis Cass, the first Chief Justice of the Michigan Territory, one of the founders of the University of Michigan, he was a Freemason. Also, Augustus.
Augustus. Like from Willy Wonka, Augustus Gloop.
Augustus. I think it's Augustus.
Oh, Augustus. Yeah,
I don't know for sure.
I think I was just trying to use a German accent to failure.
Augustus.
Augustus.
All right. Augustus, or whatever the fuck his name was. Augustus B. Woodward, for whom Woodward Avenue is named, which is where the Masonic Temple is on Woodward Avenue.
Absolutely.
And anyone from Detroit or Metro Detroit knows Woodward Avenue. That's like a very commonly used road. He was a Freemason, as well as American industrialist and founder of the Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford. In the 1920s, social
Henry
clubs...
Ford's also 9 letters, by the way.
Henryford. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, how are you doing this so quickly?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's just, I see it. We're surrounded by it right now. You know what I mean? We're in, there are 3 lights right there. There are 3 altars here, 3 chairs there. Three chairs directly above them are 4 lights.
You know what I just noticed?
There's
3 chairs at the front of the room, 3 chairs at the back of the room, and 3 chairs at the middle of the room. There's 3 spots of 3 chairs.
Yeah, exactly. And you see the 3 chairs are lit by 4 lights.
4 lights.
The trivium and the quadrivium. The quadrivium watches over the trivium. And
how many spokes are on this symbol for the, what's the G stand for?
George Washington.
George Washington, oh. So 1, 2, 3,
12,
4.
which is the trivium times the quadrivium.
3 times 4, yeah. Crazy. Well, I mean, he did tell us going in that there is, everything is based on 3 and 4, but it's just cool to see them when you look at them.
Absolutely, and to kind of see it all. And, if you... it's all over the place.
For listeners, what we were talking about with the G symbol is it's like a circle with a G in the middle that he's telling me stands for George Washington. Yeah. And then there's 12 spokes. Is that spokes?
Or just spikes or points coming out of it.
Yeah, like sticking out of it.
It looks like a star, almost like it was the star in the east.
Yeah. It does kind of look like that.
But
they're all the same length,
hovers
though.
directly over the original trivium, which is King Solomon and his heirs. I can't remember their names.
And the 2 other guys.
Yeah, and the guy that built it.
You got the other guy there, and then his buddy there.
You got in the middle who thinks of.
You got your King Solomon, and then you got your
this guy's the boss.
Brian.
He's the contract.
And Tom.
Over here.
Oh, God. But in the 1920s, social clubs were all over Detroit, and Freemasons were one of several social clubs in the area. At the time, Detroit was in its prime, and there was a lot of money in the city. The temple was always open to the public to host events, and still is today.
Yeah.
The ballrooms were included in the temple for this purpose because they knew they would have to pay for this building in some way. The building does like span, it's like almost the whole city block. It's like
it really is almost an entire city block.
Yeah. In the late 50s to early 60s, the Great Depression hit Detroit, and the Upper Cass Corridor transitioned from being a hip place to live to becoming Detroit's Skid Row. Now the city is back on an upswing, and the Detroit Masonic Temple hopes to be a part of the revival of the city.
Sure.
Rumors surround this mysterious temple, not only about the enduring hauntings reported here, but also about the Freemasons themselves, of course. Everyone knows the Freemasons are shrouded in mystery. And,
sure.
What's the word I'm trying to think of? Not controversy, but
they're
conspiracy.
They're very conspiracy driven. And to this day, there are numerous people who list them as one of the several major societies worldwide that kind of pull the strings behind the curtain.
Sure.
You know, there's remainders of the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, the Black Nobility. The deep state is kind of, that's a little bit different level, but there's a lot of people who put a lot of thought into, any strings being pulled behind curtains. And when they do that, it almost gets brought up in that conversation every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which seems, and at one time, I'm sure there were a lot of things that happened around the establishment of with it being July 5th, Freemasonry is as relevant now as it is
for listeners,
any other time.
The day of recording is the 5th of July. It's not for you guys.
Yeah.
We are currently in the past for you. But for us, it's July 5th.
We're relatively traveling through time.
Well, of course, aren't we always? It's a flat circle.
For shizzle.
But no, I'll get into some of the conspiracies.
No, that's fine. I just love the fact you threw it in there. I loved it.
Oh my God, I wasn't even thinking of the circles and stuff here.
And they, certainly. And there are 3 circles per column space, which is cool. And I'm sure is intentionally spaced that way.
I'm going to actually get into conspiracy theories because I think that they're really fascinating.
Yeah.
But
they're definitely interesting to think about.
I think so, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I love to think about what other people think.
Yeah.
Especially, like, the more ridiculous, the more fascinating to me.
Sure.
Because you're like, people think this.
Yeah.
This is the thing that people think. Okay, so John Snyder, the temple's docent, actually previous docent, our current docent I'm not a Freemason, what am I saying? But the current docent in the Detroit Masonic Temple, his name is Rob.
Okay.
He's the current docent.
Gotcha.
But at one time, it was John Snyder. And he insisted that the secrets of the Freemasons aren't nearly as sensational as you'd imagine, which honestly makes a lot of sense to me. He says the Freemasons mainly keep private the specifics of their lectures and teachings, but that basically they contain guidelines to being an upstanding citizen. And his point of view is, or his way he phrases it is, he goes, there's no weather machine. And to me, that like cracked me up. That I hadn't heard that like conspiracy theory, but...
Oh, really? You haven't heard of HARP?
No.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's a conspiracy theory about Freemasons?
Look into it.
No. Tell me about it.
HARP is the theory behind it. There's a massive part of Alaska that is used to build a HARP machine called HARP. I can't remember. It's an acronym. HAARP. That supposedly is able to create clouds, control electromagnetic energy in the air.
It's not associated with the Freemasons. It's just
I'm sure someone can try to connect the dots somewhere.
Yeah.
If you try hard enough, you can make anything mean anything. But
where you've heard it, it's saying it's in the government or something.
Yeah, just that it was this government test site that ended up, that supposedly is a way to control the weather and weaponize weather, essentially.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so instead of bombing an area, you would flood it.
Yeah. Huh. That's awesome. I've never heard that
I
one.
have spent way too many nights at 4 a.m. clicking on YouTube videos.
What do people think about
for
sometimes?
anyone's own good, to be completely honest with you. Like,
That's dope,
at this
though.
point, I watch the news and I'm just like, no, this is fake. None of this is real.
I know. Well, then that's the thing.
But at
it's
the
like,
same time, it's kind of a fault. You know what I mean? Because then, I have a tendency to become almost jaded about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's funny. All right. If you ask Snyder, who is the old docent here, or frankly, most every other Freemason I've personally ever encountered, and you'll probably say the same, they all tell you the same thing. The Freemasons are more private than they are secretive. It's a private group.
Well,
They're not
sure.
a secret group.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's a slight difference, but it is a difference.
That's one of the things about Freemasonry is if they're hiding anywhere, if there is any hiding to be done, it's in plain sight.
That's right. Exactly right.
The original street plan for Washington D.C. is Masonic in nature and symbolism. And with the Washington Monument sitting directly in the middle of it. It's I'm pretty sure that the person or the team tasked with designing Washington D.C. they were all Freemasons.
Yeah.
And it's about symbolism and it's about
and why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if you believe so much in like an organization, why wouldn't you want to put a little symbolism into things?
In modern time,
awesome.
in our modern day and age, we have the same belief, except to us we call it branding.
Right.
Nike puts their swoosh on all their stuff.
Right.
Except their stuff tends to be apparel, and the Masonic things tend to be, buildings and ideas and ways of life and institutions and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. They're private, not secretive.
Sure.
Still, Masonic conspiracy theories are among some of my favorite conspiracy theories ever. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into them.
Sure.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Hundreds of conspiracy theories about the Freemasons have been discussed since as early as the late 18th century. Think about that. Mm-hmm. The late 1700s is what that means for the lay person listening.
Yeah.
We know you're there. We still appreciate you.
Yes, keep laying it down.
18th century, 1700s. Yeah. Write that down.
First time I ever heard lay people, I thought it was just people who do nothing but lay down.
Well, but they probably do.
Yeah. You lay mean lazy. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. All right. These conspiracy theories are usually either
political. We're putting people to sleep over here. No, it's fine.
he's definitely.
No, you're good. Please don't feel self-conscious.
Our expert just went to take a nap, and then our comic just gave him shit and bullied him until he sat back up and kept hanging out.
I'm sure that's extremely comfortable. Yeah, I get it.
It's okay. Nobody outside of these walls can hear this, so don't worry.
Exactly.
And everyone internationally who's listening to this
like being like
episode.
that old butler in Mr. Deeds where he just yells boobs and it just reverberates. Yeah.
He's like, that's Hawaiian punch.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Never forget a movie line.
Yeah, there
One
you
of
go.
my talents. That's why I do comedy podcasts.
It stops being laughing in the dark and just reciting in the dark.
Oh, like if I'm with someone else who like knows all the same movie lines as I do, it's like only entertaining for us and anyone else who's seen those movies.
Oh my God, shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hundreds of conspiracy theories about the Freemasons have been discussed since as early as the late 18th century. These conspiracy theories are usually either political, religious, or cultural in nature. The three.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it, but many conspiracy theories associate Freemasonry with devil worship, mainly based on varying interpretations of the doctrines of their organizations.
Well, correct me, expert panel, if I'm wrong, but one of the original translation of the Masonic Bible talked about Lucifer, but not in a satanic context, but in a Lucifer meaning light context. Is that?
Well, Luce is.
It's no Masonic Bible. But
oh, okay.
Lucifer can be translated as light bringer.
Okay, yeah, and okay.
Because loose is Latin for light also.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking of then. It was a specific text to. Do the Masons have a text or a
handbook?
Okay, gotcha.
The what?
We have a ritual.
A ritual, but it's like a handbook type of thing?
Yeah, and it's different for every jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So it
Gotcha,
varies.
okay.
It's very word of mouth.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, passed
gotcha.
on.
Very nice.
Telephone.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Many of the political conspiracy theories revolve around the idea that Freemasons get a pass when it comes to illegal activity due to their status and that they control much of the government. Not just in the United States, but in many countries around the globe.
Sure.
Freemasons tend to be grouped together with other semi-secret societies, including the Bohemian Grove, the Skull and Bones Society, and the Rhodes Scholars.
Yeah. Bohemian Grove's its own weird thing.
I was just going to
That's
say,
a deep dive right there.
At this moment in this podcast, I want to dedicate this episode to an old sociology professor I had who became like an uncle to me.
Okay.
He's passed away now.
Okay.
His name was Jim Vaughn.
Okay.
And he was a major fan of conspiracy theories revolving around the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
So the second I saw that,
Have you seen the Bohemian Grove footage that Alex Jones shot?
No.
That's pretty interesting stuff.
That's Jim used to be a bus driver at the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
So he would sit with me. We'd get like an IPA and just sit and talk. And he would just be like,
Yeah.
dude, they got the owls. They got all kinds of shit. He gave me a spoon that had an owl carved into it from the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, obviously, I take any, conspiracy theory or footage with the grain of salt that it's made with.
Of course.
But it's very interesting for anyone that's into it and is looking for just something interesting to wrap your mind around or try to think about. Check out the Alex Jones footage of quote unquote a Bohemian Grove. He has a video that he supposedly shot where he snuck onto Bohemian Grove during a ceremony. And what you hear is like, I don't know, maybe 300 to 400 people in robes. And you see them as well. And there's a giant owl god called Olmec that they are praying to and chanting to. And someone is praying and they're making a sacrifice to Olmec. It doesn't show what they're sacrificing or whatever, but they're doing a sacrifice. Quote unquote, this is what is being told, and you can draw whatever concept you want from it, but someone is talking about the great care. Please destroy the great care, make us not do the great care, what have you. So it's interesting. I don't know what, if any, truth there is to it. It's just one of those things you have to see and come up with your own opinion, but it's pretty interesting to watch, kind of creepy. So
that's dope.
Well,
sorry.
Depending on the stories behind it, it could be very not dope. Depending on what.
No matter how fucked up it gets, it's dope. I think it sounds fascinating to me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's fine.
I find that shit cool.
It's certainly thought provoking, if nothing.
Definitely, yes. And oh my God, Jim. I hope he's somewhere where he can hear this episode because he was so into the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, and it's so quiet in here. I feel like, if there were to be a knock or a sign or something that, we would hear it pretty clearly. So.
True.
So.
All right, Jim, that's your cue, man.
Yeah.
Jump in, dude.
Yeah. Knock 3 times. How crazy would that be?
Oh my God. If you heard
there?
3 and then a break and then 4.
And then 4. And then you realize just someone's offbeat.
And you're like,
yeah.
Okay. Many rumors suggest that Freemasons worship Satan or other demonic or cult gods and figures, such as Baal, also known as the demon Beelzebub. Beelzebub?
Yeah.
Beelzebub.
Did you know that Beelzebub has a devil set aside for me? Did you know that?
Wait, what?
I was quoting Bohemian Rhapsody. Beelzebub has a
devil set aside for me, for me, for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I never realized that's what he said right there.
Yeah, Beelzebub. Yep.
Well, I heard the Beelzebub, but
has a devil set aside.
Has a devil set aside for me. That's the part that I was like,
Yeah.
I love Queen.
Say
What's
what?
that?
Freddie Mercury was a Zoroastrian.
A Zoroastrian. What is that?
It's a dying, almost dead religion out of Persia, now Iran.
Well, yeah, he was Persian. I saw that in the movie.
The Iranians tried to kill them entirely, and Freddie Mercury's family fled to the United States.
Interesting.
His family, so the name Mercury, they were an astrological religion, so that's why his name is Mercury.
Yeah.
Many rumors suggest that Freemasons worship Satan or other demonic or cult gods and figures, such as Baal, also known as the demon Beelzebub, Baphomet, the infamous Sabbatic goat, often associated with Satanism and devil worship.
Baphomet indeed. I have a good friend that actually is a ideological Satanist, and we play a lot of disc golf. And his lucky disc that he's never lost has a Baphomet print on it. And,
right on.
Whenever he needs to make a killer shot, he hails Baphomet. And it usually works. I'm just saying.
I don't want to polarize my listeners, but I actually am a huge fan of Satanism.
Well, I like the idea of freedom and making choices.
Yep.
And then living with them. You know what I mean?
Did you see that movie Hail Satan that just came out a few months ago? I think.
No.
It's fantastic. You should watch it. It's a documentary on Satanism and how it got started, and the whole point of all of it. It's basically a political group.
Yeah.
It's not a religious group.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big supporter of Satanism.
Yeah. Well, hey.
However, all the rumors of like Freemasons like sipping blood of like babies or whatever the fuck people think, like that's not what's happening. You're like, you don't know our secrets.
He's 308 years old. Speak for yourself.
How do you think I look this young?
Yeah.
All right. So Baphomet, the infamous Sabbatic goat, often associated with Satanism and devil worship, is another entity that people theorize that Freemasons worship. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but Dajjal, an evil Islamic figure. It's Dajjal. Dajjal. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Or Rahu, a shadow entity in Indian texts, or even Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld. My dude, I love Osiris.
Yeah.
But so basically, in every type of culture, like you've got the Greek, Islamic,
Egyptian,
Indian, like other,
Roman.
Every single kind of culture basically has accused the Freemasons of like, oh, you worship that basically satanic symbol.
Yeah.
You know? So it's all...
Yeah, well, and, there's even, talk of the cross being just an unfolded cube.
What?
So imagine a cube that's all connected. And
you fold it down.
Exactly, but you have to have, it would be like a cross. You would have your base, you fold two sides up, the two sides this way, but you have to have that extended one at the bottom to fold up and over.
Right.
So if you were to fold up, if you were to put a cross into 3 dimensions, it would make a cube, which is a lot of people attribute to the unfolding of the, I don't know what I'm trying to say, an unfolding of the arts to make it flat, 2-dimensional, not as in depth, not as intelligent as it could be, I guess.
Okay.
And in that way, twisted into paganism. The cross comes from paganism and how it's been adopted.
From a cube to a cross?
That's one interpretation of it, or the Tesseract, or whatever kind of mythology you want to put onto that. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so
I probably got that all wrong. So
don't worry.
I'm a comedian,
cool.
not a historian.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I'm probably just quoting some weird ancient aliens.
Everyone's just like, you're like, actually what happened is the aliens. Funny thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so other conspiracies suggest that the Freemasons cleverly intertwine various symbols and numerology into modern culture, such as within corporate logos. One such source I found compared images of the Gmail logo to the Masonic Royal Arch apron. the Facebook app to the Masonic tubal cane.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the correct way to say that?
I've never heard that word. I don't know what you're talking about.
Great. So that means it's one of the secrets. The Google Chrome logo to the divine 666 king sign. Wait, what? What are we looking at?
The G star.
Yeah, but the one I saw was like,
well, and that's,
the
I'm sure
Google
they're just
Chrome
different
logo.
versions of the same. The what?
Well, the Google Chrome, how it's like a circle, and then it's like 666.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they've compared that. Like for listeners, look at the Google Chrome logo. If you don't have Google Chrome, Google it on your phone, which is
Google
ironic.
Chrome real quick.
Yeah, look it up, I guess. Go to bing.com and then search it.
Go to Bing. Go Bing.
If you
Google
don't have
Chrome.
it, ask Jeeves, and then he'll show you.
If you Bing Google Chrome, you don't deserve to have your phone.
Yeah, goodbye. But it really, like, despite all the conspiracy theories, I had never looked at the Chrome symbol and been like, oh my God, it is like a circle within a circle. And then there's lines that come out that do form 666.
And
it's kind of cool.
The App Store logo is a compass.
Is a compass, that's right. That was another one I didn't include. But another compared the logos of Chrysler, Bentley, Mini Cooper, and Harley Davidson to that of the Winged Sun disc Masonic symbol.
Yeah.
While the similarities, I said, wait, what? Is that somewhere?
Is that the disc Masonic symbol?
No, the Winged Sun is like a circle. It's like, you know, the Harley Davidson logo is one that stood out the most to me. You know what the Harley Davidson logo looks like?
Yeah.
How it's like basically, it's like a shield and then like lines on the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or what else? Mini Cooper, Bentley, Chrysler. It's kind of all the same thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the Winged Sun logo looks like. They do actually look similar.
Gotcha.
I said, well, the similarities are striking in some cases. Others seem to be a bit of a stretch to me. Still, only a cursory Google search is sure to lead you down a rabbit hole to compare some of these symbols for yourself. So it's one of those things that I can be as skeptical as I want to be and be like, yeah, I mean, the symbols are similar, but they're also very simple designs that you could, like what you were saying earlier, if you're looking for something, you're going to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, look it up yourself.
Which I think is the loop that a lot of conspiracy theorists get into.
Right,
You know what
agree.
I mean? They project it in their, psyche.
Right.
And it starts to appear to them. We were talking earlier about you get a brand new car, you see them everywhere. You know what I mean?
Sure, exactly right.
And, and that could be just, the way that we perceive life. And that could be also one of the teachings of a lot of different secret societies is that as is above, so below.
As above, so below.
The duality.
Like, have you seen that movie, The Descent?
Yep, the duality of you see two globes up there.
Wait, have you seen The Descent?
Mm-mm.
Okay, never mind.
No.
That's a horror
movie.
movie.
Now that you
you should.
it.
But the whole, I mean, I know that as above, so below, where did that come from?
That actually is, that exists in several different types of beliefs and different texts. And actually, it's one of the things that Da Vinci spoke of the most. And the duality of worlds.
Oh, is that the two globes?
The two globes up there,
sides? Is that what it's supposed to mean? As above,
so below.
Oh, right on.
And,
so that's
and
actually,
also in a
maybe
state
that
of
started as a Masonic.
Yeah, quite possibly. Or it was adopted by the Freemasons as a more ancient text, as a more ancient thought process. But also, it speaks a lot to metaphysics, to the ever expansion of the external universe. The brain itself is as infinite internally as the universe is externally.
Yeah.
And, being able to conceive something does mean the initial sense of developing it.
Yeah.
So if you can conceive it, you can achieve it is essentially the most bare bones version of, that thought.
Yeah.
And The Secret is a very watered down, very kind of basic version of that thought is people
like
say, if you can, you manifest it. It's just that the secret tends to leave out the part where you have to work your ass off to do what you want to do. They think you just put it on a vision board and it pops into your life.
Right.
But
that's what bugged the shit out of me about The Secret.
Sure,
I agree.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this earlier. I am a person that I really don't know why this happens to me, but I always have crazy coincidences happen in my life.
I don't believe in coincidences, to be completely honest.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And, or I've characterized it as like synchronicity or whatever it is. And we were just talking about this on our way to the Masonic Temple, because we haven't talked about this on recording at all.
No, we haven't.
But for listeners, just to give you a kind of an idea of how this episode went, you don't understand hearing my episodes, all the work that goes into, for every location I go to, there were 4 or 5 other locations that I might have gone to that denied me, or the timing was wrong, or whatever happened, it didn't work out. And so when it came to this episode, I had a very loose reference as someone who was like, okay, we're going to take you through the place and you're going to have a guide with you and whatever. And that person fell through, without going into the details.
Sure.
And so I was thinking, you know what? They do tours. I'm just going to go in and kind of schmooze my way in and be like, let's go to we just want to sit in a quiet place. Like, leave us alone.
Yeah.
And that was my plan.
Not only did we find it quiet, we found the quietest place.
We found the best place.
Like, seriously, you know that song, The Sound of Silence? Mm-hmm. That's what this place is. That song, like Simon and Garfunkel were like, hey, we need to write a song
about this room,
about the Detroit Masonic Temple. This room specifically.
They're like, you know what I'm hearing here?
The sound of silence.
It's the sound of silence right there. That's what the sound is, buddy.
And truly, the silence can be deafening. And like I said earlier, we are sitting in the middle of a very major metropolitan area that is busy with sirens. And
yes.
And
there's a thunderstorm.
Is it storming right now?
Oh, I love no Michigan thunderstorms.
I had no idea. And so, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here. I had no idea that it was even storming.
Me neither. Yeah.
And, this is just incredible.
That makes sense. It's really humid today.
Yeah.
But so what I was going to say is that I came to a point where, we're just going to come in and do an episode, whatever. Well, the other night I did an episode at the Whitney, last week's episode for listeners. And after the episode, a friend of mine works at a bar here called Founders, and I thought I'd come in and visit her. And I was hanging out there, and I met these guys that are Freemasons that agreed to help me tour. Do you want me not to include this in the episode?
No, actually, I was going to ask if I could say something.
Sure, come here.
So the Whitney was owned by one of our brothers. His name is Richard Kuhn, and he passed a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God! I had no idea.
He is.
I wrote about him in the episode.
He's partially responsible for this place still being here.
Oh, nice.
Richard Kuhn?
Richard Kuhn is one of the pillars of this community, and he just passed a couple weeks ago. That's why I was actually walking out of the room, and I was just like, you mentioned the Whitney, and I wanted to mention Richard. Because he is an excellent example of what a Freemason can be.
Oh my God!
He rebuilt Lionel Trains. It wasn't Topps. It was one of the baseball cards companies.
I know what you're talking about.
And he does this tour of like old cars. I can't remember the name of it, but he's just a magnificent representation of what a Mason can be. There's a museum in Dearborn, the Henry Ford Museum.
Of course.
It's got this whole section of trains, and he's responsible for curating all of that.
Oh, wow.
And he's just a fantastic person. So I know you just did the Whitney, and this is but that guy is
cool.
And I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times, and he's just an amazing man. Well, maybe he's passed now, but he was an amazing man, and the perfect example of like what it is we strive to become.
No, I appreciate that you said.
Yeah, no, that's a great
I appreciate that you said that, because for my listeners and also for me personally, because I've done all the research, the episode that came out last week for them was the Whitney, and so they learned all about Kuhn and all about
an amazing guy.
the Whitney, and so that's so cool to hear firsthand
So
account.
if for any reason anyone listening to this missed last week's episode, go back and listen to it.
Listen to it, yes.
And then listen back to this episode and check out more on Richard Kuhn. That's pretty amazing. And to kind of speak to that about being the example of what a Mason can be, you know, when you think about Masonry, the craft, it's crafting in stone. It's crafting in something that will last a lifetime. And the concept of a human doesn't last forever, and life is not about living for forever. It's about creating something that does.
Sure.
And
it sounds like Kuhn really left a legacy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for anyone, let alone someone who is a significant member of a Masonic organization, to say that about you, just in general, for anyone to have those type of words for anyone, says a lot. And
absolutely.
So yeah,
it's like,
that's
what would
cool.
people? It makes you wonder, what would people say about you? Like,
sure.
I mean it as
no.
You know what I mean? Like, if I were to die today, what would people say?
Not from an egotistical sense, but from an
what did I
honest
leave
point,
behind?
You know
exactly
what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So,
and honestly,
which is the value of art in our society.
I agree. And also, that's a good point about ego, is that, I feel like with like Instagram and Pinterest and all this stuff, we're all so like worried about our image and what we're going to leave behind. But to me, the thing that leaves most of a lasting impression on someone is how genuine they were.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when someone is like, they have all their shit together, they're always perfect, like they're whatever,
or
they're an Instagram influencer, whatever the fuck they are. I don't think that that's nearly as valuable as getting a beer with someone and relating and realizing that they're a real fucking person. Like, I think that is so much more valuable than we realize.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
All right, so into my favorite conspiracy theories about Freemasonry.
Let's do it.
All right, so my favorite conspiracy theories involving Freemasons is that of the more obscure.
Okay.
Some suggest that the Freemasons faked the Apollo moon landings. Conspiracy theories abound about unsolved murder and tragedies, with some suggesting that the Freemasons are behind the cases of Jack the Ripper, which was left unsolved, and the murder of JFK. One conspiracy theory suggests that the September 11th attacks were astrological in nature and were a part of a hidden war between Masonry, as descendants of the Knights Templar, which have similar conspiracies surrounding them, and Islam.
Interesting. I think when it comes to the assassination of JFK, I think that's more of a skull and bones thing, because I'm pretty sure that JFK was a Freemason.
Oh.
And George H.W. Bush.
Like, why would you kill one of your own?
Well, yeah. But which, you would think that, I'm pretty sure, Abe Lincoln was a Freemason. I think John Wilkes Booth was as well. So I think it kind of depends on your motivation. But the whole theory that I understand, and this is factual, is that Lee Harvey Oswald was a CIA recruit. He never made it onto the program, but he was marked as a trained marksman. The director of the CIA at the time was George H.W. Bush.
What? Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Damn.
He was director of the CIA at the time, and the thought behind that was more of a skull and bones. Was, JFK was trying to distribute money without an interest rate to avoid the Federal Reserve, and that he was, by the big money folks in Washington, that he was eliminated.
Not having any of that.
Yeah.
So, because the Skull and Bones, so Skull and Bones is another semi-secret society.
Yeah, and they kind of came out of more of the Harvard University.
Okay. Rich boys.
Yeah, and a elitist, very elitist group.
Yeah.
much more.
Like my dad was in Skull and Bones, so I'm in Skull and Bones, like that kind of a thing.
Kinda, but I think there's more levels to it than that. Like it's not necessarily hereditary. From my understanding, it's not like you're hereditary, so you get to play ball. You know what I mean? It's like it's like you're hereditary, but you got to show us that you're willing to,
Like you're hereditary, so you get an application.
But W was Skull and Bones too, per allegedly. You know what I mean? Obviously,
sure,
I don't have a written record, but.
So was Kerry. They ran against each other.
That's true. Kerry and Bush were both Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, John Kerry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about a female named Kerry. I was like, there was a female in Skull and Bones? No, of course not. Why?
But that's also one of the reasons why they
were
thought
like, here's our secretary chair.
that he was almost like thrown to the lambs just as a, that they were kind of on the same team. So you mentioned assassination of JFK. You also talked about
9/11.
9/11 and the moon landings. The moon landings, I think that's really deeply rooted in like Project Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, which was when World War II was over. Nazi scientists were like split up between like Russia and the United States. Like Wernher von Braun, the person who established NASA, was a Nazi.
What?
United States. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
NASA was started by former Nazis that were given immunity due to their scientific contributions and were able to practice in Soviet Russia and.
So I know Russia and the U.S. were competing to like get to the moon
and all that fun stuff. But
are you one of those people that really believes we didn't land on the moon?
I think that the footage that we saw, I feel like that we didn't have the technology to allow film to pass in and out of our atmosphere without being destroyed. So I think the footage that we have was shot in like a film. I have no idea whether or not we went to the moon, but I feel like based on the way that some of the footage that we've been shown has been broken down, that very well may have been staged.
Really?
Just to have something to put on TV. Yeah.
Really?
And if you look at some of the old ones that they put out and have since like not shown, like you can clearly see someone who looks like they're on wires, and you can see lighting that looks like it's casting shadows that shouldn't be there.
Really?
And
I'll have to dig into it.
Yeah.
Because I've always dismissed that as like bullshit.
And also one of the things they say is that film at the time could not pass in and out of our magnetic atmosphere without being destroyed. Yes, the Van Allen belt. They couldn't pass through the Van Allen belt without.
No, it's okay.
No.
One of the men who went to the moon. And it's one of the things that we don't do is disclose our membership, but I will say that one of the men that went to the moon was a Scottish Rite Freemason, and he brought with him a Scottish Rite flag to the moon.
Interesting.
So he legitimately.
One of the astronauts that first stepped foot on the moon was a Scottish Rite Freemason, and he brought with him a Scottish Rite flag.
And he also was able to tell everyone, yeah, we went to the moon. It's real.
But so did he plant the flag?
No.
He just took it with him. Interesting. But 9/11's a weird one, man. There's so many weird things. Tower 7 falling, Tower 6, not many people even know about.
So you are a conspiracy theory guy. Like that's your shit.
I definitely like to think about them. I try to hold nothing at fact.
Yeah, but you know
like to learn the theory.
A lot about them.
I like to learn the theory and then just be like, that's an interesting take. You know what I mean? Like,
no, absolutely. But you seem interested in them enough that you...
Yeah, I like to learn about them, and when discussing them, I like to know at least a little bit of what I'm talking about.
All the people to take to a Masonic temple.
Yeah, you nailed it pretty much. I don't want to.
You were the one to take.
Masonry is one of those things that I initially wanted to be a history teacher when I was in school, and then
I gave up on my dreams. Decided to be a comedian.
I realized I didn't want to deal with children.
Sure.
Or even older children.
Mm-hmm. People. You might
exactly.
say.
I love talking about history. I didn't want to do all the other teacher things.
Right.
So, yeah, exactly. And so, so I've always been really interested in learning about it, and I took a winter class for school on Ben Franklin, and that was really interesting, kind of diving into kind of what he was about, and that kind of led me into just some other books, and then over the years, of course, like I said, I've done my YouTube deep dives and so on and so forth. And my grandpa was a Mason, and my great grandpa was a Mason.
Okay,
and,
awesome.
Not super active, not super active in their temples, but they were active to an extent.
I have to say, I've always been someone interested in conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So whenever I heard Freemason, I was always like, oh, that's all fucked up, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then when I started doing the research for this episode is when I really started understanding, it's not, it does make it in some ways a little less exciting, but a little bit more reverent, that you're like, actually, I do really respect what this is.
Sure.
And it's not as exciting, they're not drinking baby's blood in the middle of the altar, which would be dope. Maybe they should consider it.
Yeah.
He's like, we have secrets here. He's like, what do you think this is for? But at the same time, honestly, I said this outside of recording, but I compared it in a very small way to being a part of a summer camp that I would go to every year.
Sure.
And when it was your first year there, you would be initiated into the summer camp. So it was the last day of the week or the last couple weeks or whatever it was. You had a blindfold put around you. You went around a fire pit, and there was a whole ceremony of you're being initiated into the summer camp.
I think you were. Hold on. I think you're at the wrong summer camp. I think you might have been a little.
I'm a female, so I wasn't a Freemason.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. I don't know. Sounds like
he's like, you might have been a secretary for a Freemason
at the Vatican, or. Interesting.
Wait, really? That makes perfect sense. Because Girl Scouts, didn't that start kind of in rebellion to the Boy Scouts?
I don't know. All I know is it started in Savannah. I don't know much else about it. I don't know,
Savannah, Georgia? One of the most haunted cities on the planet.
That sounds right for the Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout for a long time, too. But I think it was created because they were like, there has to be something like this for girls, because girls couldn't become Boy Scouts.
No, they have Girl Boy Scouts. Nowadays they do.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah, they combined them. Now they do.
Yeah, there's no such thing as Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts now.
It's just Scouts of America.
Yep, Scouts of America,
no. I mean, that's good, probably, but I was a Girl Scout. I don't know, was a Girl Scout, so you're kind of that was cool.
No, Girl Scouts still exist, but Boy Scouts is now multi-gender.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can exclude boys, you can't exclude girls.
Right.
Weird.
That's a whole different.
Do you now understand the white male struggle in this country?
Let's not even fucking touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, I saw that. Hey, the ball was hanging there. I had to swing. You know what I mean?
Do what you gotta do, but
JK lols.
Yeah. Okay, don't worry. I'm not offended. It's very difficult to offend.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and suggest that what I just said, the JK, probably the dumbest thing ever said in this room.
JK lolling?
JK lols.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very dumb. You remember J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter?
I do know J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Lolling.
J.K. Lolling.
You're welcome. I made it even worse.
I was about to say, you upped me once more.
Upped you. I guess you could call it that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories. Okay, but my absolute favorite conspiracy theory about the Freemasons, the ones that say humanoid reptiles are behind secret societies such as the Freemasons and the Illuminati.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if that's true, then,
Dope.
Yeah.
But it's...
Maybe.
It's, it's not true. I mean,
Yeah.
But what is true is lots, more people than you would think, lots of people believe that it's true.
Oh, yeah. And some of them get highly prominent writing gigs. I mean, look at David Icke,
Who's that?
He's a very controversial figure that is a conspiracy theorist, and he completely believes that there is an army of shape-shifting reptilians that run the world.
Dope. I'm about to read all of his books.
And see, here's what sucks about David Icke is that some of what he says has some gusto to it, and and that he has some factuality to it.
Have you read any of his books?
No, I've just heard him on a few podcasts.
Okay, but so then even in the podcast that you've heard, have you found yourself starting to be like, oh shit, maybe?
Until he gets to that.
Okay,
you know
so
what I
it's
mean?
not fully convincing to that point.
There's so many different things, like, the story of the Anunnaki and Planet X, and there's several different, and the
Planet X, what used to be Pluto?
No, Planet X, supposedly there's a Planet X, aka Nibiru, that circulates Earth in an orbit that only allows it to come within Earth's range at about every 2,300 years or something like that. And the story is that its last pass next to Earth, or close enough to Earth, that they were having their version of a nuclear war, and that their race was going to be obliterated. But they breathed the gold in their atmosphere, is what they used to breathe. These, beings
aliens
from the planet, these beings of planet Nibiru, and that they came to Earth to mine gold, and that they manipulated the DNA of
to help them breathe.
Primates to mine gold, and gave us thumbs and tools and the ability to do all that. And they interbred with primates to make humans, and that's the story.
And made us think that gold was valuable, which is why...
Or quite possibly, that's why we were mining it, was for, was to make us rich, when in actuality it was to provide them with...
Because really, it's like, why did we give it that value? It's just a stone.
Well, there's a lot of different things that go into that, but yeah, exactly. I was about to say that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right, so back into it. Rumors abound.
Mainly that it was soft and manipulatable. It was a soft metal and could be
mutable
used in
metal,
many things.
sure.
Yeah.
Rumors abound when it comes to Freemasonry and this very temple, and yet, although the rumors of George Mason's dramatic suicide are untrue, many still believe that his spirit haunts the Masonic Temple in Detroit. And with how magnificent this place is, it's honestly more difficult to imagine why he wouldn't.
And with a name like George Mason.
Right. Just like George Washington, you got your G right there. Like, this is your home, man.
And he is a Mason, which literally he took the name.
Right. Well, no, he might be from the descendants of people who started it. We're not positive of that, but...
Well, but he was a Mason,
Obviously,
and had the name,
and
whether he took
Mason.
it that way or not.
Absolutely.
But yeah. And also there are 4 lights illuminating this
you're right.
This Trinity. So.
You're right. Several guests and security guards claim to have witnessed the full-body apparition of George D. Mason himself. Visitors to the Detroit Masonic Temple have reported a number of strange occurrences here. Many have experienced seeing strange shadows moving and have felt mysterious cold spots, while most who visit here get the feeling as though they are being watched by something or someone.
Thank you.
Many people tend to hear the sound of doors and windows slamming shut. This is a pretty typical occurrence in a haunted location, but I think it has a particularly interesting connotation here in a temple built for a brotherhood based in secrecy. So my point in doing the research was like, okay, so people here have experienced doors and windows slamming shut. And that happens a lot. This is obviously my job, so sure. I see that in most haunted places of doors and windows slamming and shutting, and that's like a thing. But in a place that's built for a secret society, or what's intended to be a secret society, I think there's a little bit more imagery put into a door slamming shut or a window shutting. Yeah. It's not just
it's symbolic.
It's symbolic, exactly.
And, and, depending on your thoughts on the afterlife in general, you know what I mean? It could be either you're seeing something slammed shut, or you're seeing something be slammed open. You know what I mean? And,
or the fact that it's secret, so he's like, stay out of this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I thought of. That's like the first thing I thought of. And that didn't come up in any of my research. It's just like conjecture that I came up with when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
All right. So some consider the Masonic Temple in Detroit among one of the state's top 10 most haunted places.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. Each room in the Detroit Masonic Temple is truly breathtaking.
Yeah.
We're in only one of them, and
Sure,
if all of them are like this, each room in the Detroit Masonic Temple is truly breathtaking, and we can attest to that already, but we're about to do the real tour, and I think we're really going to know what we're talking about at that point.
Absolutely.
You can take a look at the image of each room on their website at themasonic.com. That's TheMasonic.com. And I highly recommend you do if you're not able to come visit yourself. Because what you can do is you can look at a room and look at, what's that called when you see like the whole panel viewing?
360.
The 360 viewing of like, you can actually look at all of the rooms, and I did this at my computer at home before I came here. You can really just look at every room, and it's worth it to do to really get an idea. You can look at our Instagram to see little pictures that we accompany with the episode, but it's not going to give you the experience that you'll get from either visiting here in person.
Yes, which absolutely do.
Do if you have the
any
chance.
type of interest in, Masonic
Detroit's
lore,
history,
mythology,
anything about
or
Freemasons.
just Detroit's history.
Exactly.
It's definitely a place you need to
history
check
of the
out.
country in general.
They have tours. They have public tours, as we're being told, that are definitely worth a check out. If you're in Detroit, come here. It's a huge part of the city's history, huge part of our nation's history, and And support places like this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're valuable to their community.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. Keep these places alive.
Like we heard about Richard Kuhn earlier. Anyone who has any of those type of words to say about another person, is a powerful thing to check out and deserves to be noted in your community. Well, and that's what the heart of the Midwest is all about.
If you care about your community, you should care about its history and where it started.
Absolutely.
And this is a huge part of Detroit's history.
Yeah, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
Exactly right. And I mean, I'm biased being from Detroit, but someone who's not from Detroit, Detroit is a very popular city in our country. It's a very big city. Yeah. So if you're able to come visit, this is definitely a stop on your visit to Detroit while you see what's become of Detroit. It's definitely growing. The infrastructure is huge now.
This is kind of a cool thing being here in Detroit, because I live in the city of Anderson, Indiana. There was a time during post-World War II era where Anderson and Detroit were booming GM towns.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
And we're growing at kind of a similar rate. And it wasn't until a lot more was able to be produced here that it started to, lean more towards Detroit than Anderson. Right. But for a while there, post-World War II, both were growing at a similar rate. And I know that when GM had its struggles in the late 80s and early 90s, GM really made a big hit, or had a big hit here in Detroit when plants started shutting down, and our city saw the same kind of downfall. And Detroit's a huge automotive town, obviously Motor City, USA.
Right.
And Anderson, where I'm at, kind of got some of that residual stuff there, and so it's kind of cool being here and being able to kind of talk about that, and just from where I'm at, and my family, my great grandpa worked for GM and was a Freemason.
I hope you had so much fun exploring the Detroit Masonic Temple with Kyle Buck and I. Be sure to check out Kyle's show, Kettle Top Comedy, if you're going to be finding yourself in Anderson, Indiana anytime soon. If you're in the area on August 10th, you can see Ryan Niemiller from America's Got Talent live at Kettle Top Brewhouse when he'll be in town for 2 shows. Tickets are on sale now at ontaptickets.com. Just search Kettle Top. If you're not in the area, don't worry. You can still find Kyle Buck on social media with the handle @UncleBucksHouse. While you're at it, check us out on social media too. You can find us with the handle @LitDarkPodcast. That's LITDARK Podcast, or visit our website at litdarkpodcast.com to see what's new, check out our merch items, or just say hello using our Contact Us form. One of our guides has a live stream of his own. Check out Brian's live streaming on Facebook at facebook.com/VolicTV. That's facebook.com/VOLICTV. Special thanks for this episode goes to Brian and Luke at the Detroit Masonic Temple, my producer Randall Lawrence in Cranival Studios, Jonathan Cooper, my graphic designer, Sara Schneider, my manager, and of course, all of you for listening. I'll see you next week right here on Laughing in the Dark.
Sources used for episode 14 of Laughing in the Dark include lostinmichigan.net, 99.1 WFMK, hauntedrooms.com, Michigan Radio NPR, Wikipedia, ancientcode.com, and The Vigilant Citizen.
Laughing in the Dark is brought to you in part by Heck Yeah Studio. Heck Yeah Studio is a creative effort working with people to create meaningful things. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with clients to turn their ideas or existing brands into real or better versions. Heck Yeah Studio is the place to go for custom illustration for a full range of branding services, like killer logos, great colors and typography, and fun illustrations for pins, signs, prints, shirts, vehicles, posters, or anything you can imagine. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with love. Their dream client is someone who is passionate about what they do. At Laughing in the Dark, Heck Yeah Studio has designed our logo, all of our merch, and any posters or stickers that we have. I am so proud and lucky to work with such an awesome company, and I could not recommend them higher.
Hi, we're Eliza,
Allison,
and Carlin, and we're the hosts of Resolved Mysteries podcast. Our podcast follows the 80s and 90s television show Unsolved Mysteries, hosted by Robert Stack. We have a love for true crime and the unsolved.
if you don't remember Unsolved Mysteries, we forgive you, but you don't have to know to get into our show. If you like true crime stuff, ghost stuff, alien stuff, or just stories about weird shit like Bigfoot, this is your podcast.
The stories we cover range from totally ridiculous to truly heartbreaking. We do detailed research on all of the segments that Unsolved Mysteries aired, then drink some wine and give you the latest updates on every case. We talk about stories that will leave you laughing, crying, and occasionally outraged.
Resolved Mysteries podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your favorite pods. Join us, and perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery.
Cranival Studios.